That's Eighth Grade, the movie. No. It is a little bit. Okay, so, because I know you've all been waiting for it, this is my review of 8th grade. So I know not a lot of people have been asking for this review, but there's a few interesting reasons why I saw it. Well, first of all, I apologize because this is one I did have a screener for. Like, I could have seen it early, but there's two reasons why not. One is that I think I was working that day or something like that, but then the other thing was... I saw the trailer for this movie, and I said, this looks good. It kind of looks like, I feel like I know what this movie's gonna be, though, and we'll kind of get to that in a bit. It's one of the reasons why I'm doing this review. So this is very much truth in advertising. This is definitely a movie about 8th grade, or rather the last week of 8th grade, I should say, but it's very much that age of being around 8th grade, and a lot of people's enjoyment of this movie is going to come from how they enjoyed 8th grade. And my guess is there's three people that are gonna have There's three main responses that I think... Three responses that this film is going to get. One is going to be people that see it and it's just like, what's the point of that? Nothing happened. Screw it. Which I get. There's not many twists and turns or anything like that in the movie, but I mean, watching the trailer, I think you could figure out that that's not the kind of movie it is. There's others that's going to see it for kind of the awkward, strange, confused... but very important time in, a child's life that will very much impact them as they become adults. Very much about closing one door and opening another. And they will say, man, this really connects with me. Like, this is so honest, so truthful, and this just really, really holds a deep place in my heart. And then there's the third kind, which a lot of people have told me they don't want to see this movie for this very same reason, which is that... they've gone through 8th grade, and it wasn't fun. That age is an awkward age, and it's uncomfortable, and it's not something that a lot of people want to relive. I'm kind of one of those people. And, that's the reason I kind of wasn't interested in seeing this movie, because I said, I'm sure this is done well, but... I don't look specifically that grade. That's like the exact grade I really don't like. Because we moved around a lot when I was a kid. Because my dad was in the Navy. And so, like, it kind of depended where we were. If I fit in well or I didn't fit in well. If I was popular or I was not popular. And 8th grade was just when we moved to a new place. From a place that we loved. And we moved to a new place that we didn't love. And we were all kind of miserable there, and we did not fit in, or at least I didn't fit in to the new school I was given to. But then when high school started, things got better. I got to know people better and stuff like that. But 8th grade was not a happy time for me, and this is a movie that is not. It's not like a miserable movie or anything. It's not like Welcome to the Dollhouse, but it is a movie that definitely very well taps into the insecurities of that age. And if I'm guessing correctly, again, I'm not an 8th grader, but it seems like it's connecting it very well to like today's technology, to the way kids talk now, which I don't think is too different from, like when I was growing up, but but definitely the technological angle and the social media and the putting videos online and stuff like that, and finding kind of different outlets for what you're going through. So I knew a lot of people. I have a lot of friends that were saying, like, well, I don't want to see that movie because I hated 8th grade. I've known a lot of people that said that. So, and they weren't interested, but I had this one friend who was telling me over and over, you gotta see this movie. And on top of that, Rotten Tomatoes was just praising the hell out of it. They even had this thing that says why you should ignore the R rating on 8th grade. And I know what they're talking about. I mean, it's like, it's R for a good reason. I mean, don't get me wrong, but I mean, it's like... I can't remember if they say that many swear words, and there's a scene, they do talk about, like, sexual stuff, you know, these 8th graders talk about sexual stuff. I think there's even a scene where, like, a woman's holding, like, a dildo or something like that, like, in an instructional video. So this is very much, kind of letting people out there who are debating whether or not to see this movie, like, trying to help them figure out what kind of movie this is. You know, is this something they would like? Because some people say it's very depressing, other people will say it's very inspiring, a lot of people will say it's both. In my opinion, it is both, but it's kind of exactly what I thought it was gonna be. So if you're looking at this trailer and you're saying, man, that looks like a lot of uncomfortable awkwardness, you know, and sort of like kids that, you know, are trying to figure things out but talk like they have things figured out and they're going to embarrass themselves, but it's also part of growing up and they're not going to be liked by a lot of other kids or they're going to be ignored, but then they're also going to be liked by a couple other kids and they have a sweet moment with, like, you know, maybe the parents and stuff. It's that kind of movie, but it's not done like, I don't know, like American Beauty or something, where there's, like, clearly a 3-act structure where this thing that happened at the beginning is gonna happen at the end. There's a lot of things that technically don't go anywhere. There's a lot of stuff where, like, she'll meet a new character and have a very unique scene with that character, and then just, you never see that character again. There's kind of stuff like that, and it's good that it's like that, because a lot of the film is very much building up this very current, you know, time and place and personality and who you are. There's even, like, a weird thing where she, like, puts away a memory box, like, from 6th grade and they open it in 8th grade. It's like, what? Is that something they do now? Like, only 2 years? But that's something. A lot of it is, you know, sort of like it's taking these steps and sort of going into, you know, the next step. You know, just because you're going through tough stuff doesn't mean you give up on it. There's a lot of good things. And yes, a lot of it I related to. You know, I think because we have moved around a lot, there's a lot of times where, you know, I was kind of everything. I was the popular kid. I was the total loser. You know, ashamed to say I made fun of kids, but I was also made fun of at, you know, some points. It's one of those things where it's like, depending on where I was and how well I fit in, you know, they were different experiences. But that's also part of growing up. So I think it's also one of those things where if you look at this, like let's say 8th grade's the best time of your life. Let's just say you were the school jock, you know, or a sports team, and you did awesome, and everybody loved you and stuff. You're still gonna have something awkward. Like, everybody goes through something awkward. I think everybody can find something in this that they can relate to in terms of, like, that confusion. Or even if you were super successful, you know, at that age, you know, you may think, I got everything figured out, and of course you don't, but a lot of people at the age, you know, I think they do have a lot of stuff figured out, or more things than they're aware of, and this movie very cleverly ties that in with her kind of video vlogs that maybe 2 or 3 people watch. I mean, nobody even watches them, but she puts them out there to kind of figure her own stuff out very clearly, and one of the things I like most is the editing in this is very good. Is she's invited to this party that this girl has already made very clear does not want her at the party, is only inviting her because I think it's her mother, because she's like, what's your name again? It was kind of weird. But she forces her to invite her to this party, and she does a vlog saying, like, you know, I was having this party, and my dad wanted me to invite this friend, and I didn't want to, but I did anyway. And, you know, when I met up with her, though, I found out she was actually really nice and really kind, and I'm glad that, you know, he made me invite that person over. So she's clearly changing things to, you know, almost play it out how she wants it to happen in her mind. And they're playing this video while she's walking up to the door of the party, which is very clever, because again, it really taps into kind of what the mindset is at that age, where you're kind of playing in what will happen, what you want to happen, you know, hopefully making it what you think will happen, and, you know, that's kind of what's going through your mind. I mean, it very much taps into, like, you know, this person that has kind of the social anxiety, and she's not, I like it because the kid does not seem like your stereotypical geek. You know, in a lot of these movies, like, the geeks are made fun of super all the time, and it's just really, you know, just constant. And this kid just seems like a normal shy kid who wants an identity, and she's still trying to figure out her identity. And the videos are kind of her hobby in figuring it out, but it's also not like... It's clearly a journal, even though the videos are set up to, like, give advice. And I also like that there's kind of little victories in this, like her going up and singing karaoke at the party, which you never hear her sing, which again is very clever, is a victory to her, to a point where it doesn't matter how she sounds, and nobody boos, nobody rolls their eyes, nobody or anything like that. Just, she sings, and that's it. And a lot of the time the movie... the reactions of the other characters, it's not as much about that as much as her reaction, how she feels about it. There's this scene near the end where she finally tells off, I guess not really a bully, but she very much, you know, lets somebody know how she feels about something. She does the whole thing without looking up at them. I mean, again, very clever. And we don't see how the kids really react. We see a little bit while she's talking, but when she walks away, she just gets this little smile. And it's like, it's not like she told the person off in a really great way. It was super odd and awkward and uncomfortable, but she was proud of it. So it very much sort of hits those little victories. And I will say it does not end on... Again, kind of like Welcome to the Dollhouse. I'll probably compare it a lot to that. It doesn't really end on a note like that. You know, when I'll bring it back to that again. When I first saw Welcome to the Dollhouse, which I swear this is not a review of, I didn't see the point of it. I'm like, okay, we're just seeing a person get made fun of for a couple hours. Why is that interesting? Why is that fun? Or anything. And when I got a little older, I appreciated it a little bit more, but it's still not really my thing. I have an appreciation for it, but I don't really like it. But I get why other people enjoy it, and I do get the comedy of it too. And I admire the harshness of it. But with this film, I feel like it's not quite doing that. It's just combining enough new stuff with having this kid kind of be someone that can disappear, but it's not like... You know, what the hell is that Drew Barrymore comedy? Was it Never Been Kissed or whatever, where it's like, in high school, I just disappeared and nobody noticed me. Yet nobody noticed Drew Barrymore. Weird. You know, it's not like, you know, just kind of a typical teen comedy. I mean, it's done with a lot of heart and a lot of thought. And watching this, even though obviously I grew up a boy, I'm watching this, I'm saying, okay, well, I recognize that feeling, I recognize that moment, I recognize when something like that happened. But I also recognize the nice moments too. So very much the reason I wanted to do this review is anyone that's like, if you see this movie and you're thinking it's either going to be all a downer or it's going to be super sappy and uplifting and stuff, it's something kind of in between and ultimately ends on a positive note. But it is, I won't even say half and half, I'll say 70% a downer or 70% anxious, uncomfortable, awkward, you know, that's probably a better way of putting it. Because I mean there's a lot of movies about childhood that are much more aggressive, and this is not an aggressive movie. This is very much focusing on sort of the awkward stuff that can happen and how it can impact a person without necessarily having to spell it out to you. It can just sort of show what they're going through. When she goes to this party, for example, you know, she has this one-piece suit, and nobody else there is wearing a one-piece, and it's something where it's like, she never says that, she never mentions it, but you notice it. It's like, oh, well, like all the other girls are wearing, like, bikinis and stuff like that, and she, you know, does not have, you know, the bodies like what they have and stuff. This is clearly a different friend group. But then, like, when they're taking the picture, you know, taking the picture of all the girls together, and they're all getting together, and they say, oh, we can't see you, you know, main character, we can't see you, come to the front. And you're thinking like, well, okay, they're gonna do the thing where everyone rolls their eyes, or they push her off, or they play some sort of mean trick, and then she turns into Carrie and zaps everybody. No, but you know what I mean, like, does some sort of mean trick, and they don't. I mean, they just let her be a part of the picture, okay, whatever, they they don't really like her, but, you know, they're trying to be more realistic. Like, that's what people would do. They just let me in the picture and be like, whatever, you know. And that's kind of the feel. It's like, most of it feels very legit, very realistic. There's one or two moments where they don't. Sometimes the father does something, like, after he drops her off at a mall, he does something that I thought was very odd and kind of out of character even for him. You know, there's another weird scene where, like, this boy is driving this girl home, and I mean, you can see it's coming a mile away, but he obviously tries to hit on her and tries to get with her, and the way he does it, even for 8th grade, actually I don't even think it's 8th grade, I think it's like 9th grade, this kid, is very odd, and I don't know, that felt very, like, the way it was done was very, very strange. But, you know, it didn't seem like, yeah, that's that age. Like, no, that's just weird. But, you know, once in a while they'll do a shtick that's like, oh, it's that shtick. Like I've seen this in a comedy. But it feels mostly pretty genuine. And when somebody actually does want to hang out with her, or she actually does get a friend that's really cool, and she's super anxious, and she practices how to say hello and stuff, you feel good that she actually, like, is connecting with someone. And then you feel just as bad when, you know, something really uncomfortable happens. And again, a lot of it is kind of done through the performance and done through, you know, just the various ways that they show what this person is going through, you know, visually. So, yeah, I guess what I'm trying to get across is that this is a very genuine movie. It feels very much like 8th grade. And even if you were super popular in 8th grade, like, everyone can find something in this movie that can be like, yeah, I went through that. Yeah, that's something I can relate to. But that doesn't necessarily mean you'll get into the movie. You'll either say you want more twists and turns or a more traditional story, or you'll say that this is a little too real and that's not something I'm interested in seeing. For me, I'm glad I saw it. I don't know if I'd see it again. For all the people that were saying, like, yeah, is this just a movie that shows the genuine awkwardness of 8th grade? Yeah, it is. And it does it well. But it isn't 100% downer. It does bring up some positive things, some, you know, genuine joyous stuff. But like I said, it's 70% awkward, uncomfortable, you know, kind of stuff that maybe you'll really connect with. I think it's no reason I really wanted to talk about it, because it is a movie where I feel like there'll be a lot of people that are just like, this is not the movie for me. And I would kind of be in that category. I'd just be like, I remember 8th grade fine. You know, I'm not someone that likes to go back and watch old home movies of myself or anything like that. I don't like remembering how awkward I was, and I acknowledge it, I know I was, but it's one of those things where I'm just like, I don't like reliving it. But a movie like this very much can sort of take that feeling. It can say it's okay to, you know, everyone went through this. You know, everyone went through sort of these different stages of awkwardness at that age. You know, that's really that age. And for some people, maybe they forgot about it, and this kind of brings it back. And it's very much about moving forward. And, you know, again, there are some clever things, even though I don't know why it was 2 years, that time capsule memory box or whatever. You know, it's very much about that happened now, you know, moving forward to the next step. And they do that in a very clever way. So this movie is shot very clever. It's edited very clever. The sound design as well, with where they put the audio of, like, her videos explaining stuff and what she says and why and so forth is really good. When she's upset, when they have it go quiet, you know, maybe have her talk or just certain songs or whatever. I mean, it's stuff that you definitely recognize. And I'm glad it doesn't take place in the 80s or the 90s. I mean, don't get me wrong, when something like that comes out, it's like, cool, that's when I grew up, but it's really everywhere right now. And I think if you're gonna do something with that, it's fine people want to do something with that, but they really have to have more to it. You know, just a coming-of-age story in the blank decade is getting a little old. Like, you really, really have to put a different spin on it. Which I think people can do and are doing, but we're seeing a lot of kind of just, ooh, references, the 80s, the 90s, whatever. So I'm hoping that people kind of wake up more that there has to be more to it than that. And there is a lot to this. Like I said, the fact that it's set now and it does address technology and sort of the different hobbies that people have. I mean, people are on they're on their phones a lot, you know, in this, and they're on their laptops and everything. You know, I feel like there's going to be a large amount of people that really do connect with this movie. And so I kind of want to make that clear too, that this is a very, very good movie. It's a very, very well done movie. And if you're looking at this and you say, I really want to relive what 8th grade is like or experience what 8th grade was like, this gets several elements. Even if it's not exactly your childhood, it gets several strong elements of it. But there are going to be people that just don't have an interest in that. I mean, for me, the stuff I like to... I know it's ironic, the guy that plays Ностальгирующий Critic, but the stuff I like to relive is, you know, things like movies and shows, maybe see a toy I grew up with or something like that, or a place or an environment. I like seeing that because that sort of brings back a lot of emotions and a lot of feelings that I connected to those certain objects. When they actually bring up the actual emotions and topics and stuff like that, you know, that's where I'm like, well, because it's... I don't know. It's just strange. Some people have different things they connect to. You know, when they bring up, like, the exact emotions, I like talking about those emotions. I don't always like reliving them. I like reliving them through, you know, objects and movies and, you know, places and things like that. You know, that stuff is fun. But, like, if you were to show me, like, a video of me watching that movie, being in that place or whatever, I wouldn't want to see that, you know? It's a, I don't know, man, maybe it's too rose-colored or whatever, or maybe it's just, yeah, I don't always like looking back at how awkward I am, even though I acknowledge I'm awkward back then and everything, but it's, everyone's gonna have, like, a different reaction to it. And I've known a lot of people that have said they don't want to see this movie because of that. They're like, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure it gets down 8th grade. I just have no interest, in seeing a very accurate portrayal of 8th grade. So, yeah, it's... I hope this helps. I mean, it's a very strange thing to kind of say, but, you know, like, no, go see this movie, even though I didn't really want to see it, and, you know, am glad I saw it, I guess, but I really feel like there's going to be a lot of people that do connect with this film. Ironically, probably not 8th graders, like, currently. Although you never know. It's something where I feel like they would see it, and I'd be like, okay, cool. I mean, but it's that age. Like, you don't want to admit you're going through a lot of that stuff, you know. But some people do and can, and it's... I don't know. It's an interesting movie. It does deserve to be talked about. It does deserve to be celebrated because it is very, very well done. It very well captures, you know, that time in life for a lot of people. But if anyone's watching the trailer thinking, I don't know, I just don't want to relive that, you do relive it. It's also the positive with the negative, but it's a fair amount of negative too. Just not welcome to the dollhouse negative. So yeah, like I said, that this was a movie I really just saw because a friend of mine was really recommending it, and Rotten Tomatoes was really praising the hell out of it, and it deserves it. And I really think it's worth saying, you know, if this is a very good special movie, I think a lot of people are going to have a strong connection to it. It's just not me, but even I acknowledge that there are a lot of people who will do and should have a very, very strong connection with this. And if you're looking at the trailer thinking, yeah, maybe I want to see that, maybe this will be something deep and meaningful, it probably will. But yeah, don't expect twists and turns, don't expect anything super positive or super negative, honestly. You know, it is exactly what it advertises. It is 8th grade, so take that for what it's worth. That's about it, and I will see you next time. Take care.